怒りに燃える闘志があるなら巨大な敵を撃てよ撃てよ撃てよ正義の怒りをぶつけろガンダム機動戦士ガンダムガンダム
While there are myriad makes and marks of Zeon mobile weapons, this particular episode will be featuring the ones that became mass production units in the One-Year War. The Zeon MS-06F Zaku 2 mobile suit was the mainstay of the Zeon forces and proved to be an incredibly potent weapon of war. While the Federation forces hurriedly tried to develop their own mobile suit, the Zeon were busily reinforcing their holdings on Earth. Though they had been able to quickly refit their Zakus into the J-type for ground combat, they lacked any sort of dedicated ground combat mobile suit. The race was on between Zeonic Company and Zimad, a private weapons manufacturing company, to produce something that would sate Zeon's hungry war machine. Zeonic Company was first out the gate, with the MS-07B Goof, most notably piloted by Ramba Ral and Norris Packard. This particular mobile suit was notable for its resemblance to the original Zaku, but with a nasty attitude.
This is no Zaku, boy! No Zaku!
It featured a built-in weapons kit, though it could easily use the Zaku weapons as well. While its abilities were well and beyond the abilities of the Zaku, its performance was not so great as to merit refitting or producing many more. As such, the machine was doled out primarily to aces. Instead of a suit for combat, it could be more readily described as a suit for dueling. This sort of machine would become a staple of antagonist mobile weapons in later series, like the Tallgeese in Gundam Wing. The Goof was equipped with a heat rod, a retractable cable that could grapple and shock its victims, and a heat saber, first made out of smart materials that could be superheated to repel a beam saber, and then out of more traditional ceramic to keep costs down. Notably, the MS-07B-3 Goof Custom replaced most of these weapons with a lighter and easier to reload or detach variant. The heat rod was replaced by a magnetic grapple with a greater reach, and the finger guns were replaced by a forearm-mounted machine gun. The Gatling shield was also a new weapon in the Zeon arsenal, spied primarily in the Southeast Asian campaign. Its fire rate and armor penetration were profoundly better than the standard weapons, but required more maintenance and a customized shield to wield it. In spite of this, the machine was absurdly dangerous, and it inflicted spectacular damage on the Federal forces in the area before it was finally brought down. The Goof proved great for ace pilots, but the rank and file still needed a machine that could handle the increased resistance they'd face on the ground. Enter the MS-09B Dome. Its primary feature was a set of enormous turbofans in its legs that could easily lift it around. The Zimad Company's Triumph brought the Dome to the battlefield as a high-mobility, heavy armor hybrid. They were fast, packed heavy weapons, and could shrug off more damage than the relatively lighter Zaku 2. Soon after the Dome was put into production, the Zeon forces found themselves being pushed off the Earth and back into space, where the Dome mobile suit was refitted into the MS-09R Rick Dome. This refit only helped to prove the superiority of this unit. It carried a much larger rocket launcher than the Zaku, and could easily use the Zaku armaments as well. It carried a heat sword and featured a built-in beam gun that could be used to blind enemy pilots. The final machine put into mass production by the Zeon forces against the Earth Federation was the MS-14A Gelgoop. This was to be Zeonic Company's greatest work to date, taking everything they'd learned up to that point and putting out a spectacular mobile suit. One that could carry handheld beam weapons with ease, which was a first for the Zeon. The problem was that with the Zeon forces so depleted, there were only green pilots left to fight in the new machines. Had these machines been produced earlier, it's very possible that the Zeon might have won the war. While this covers the Zeon's mass production units, next episode we'll take a look at some of the more limited production models and touch on mobile armors. One other thing that the Zeon had going for them was the Flanagan Institute. It was here that they developed machines to weaponize the new type phenomenon, such as the Elmith and the Zeong used by Lala Sun and Char Aznable towards the end of the war. While the specifics of new type powers are hazy, likely intentionally, they are usually spacenoids and can empathically detect other new types. They can sense hostile intent and have reflexes that edge into precognition. It is stated that the powers were developed morphogenically to help the next generation of humans now living in space cope with the long distances in some unexplained way. However, due to the near-constant state of struggle in the UC universe, the new type race remains increasingly rare. In the original 0079 series, confirmed new types are as follows: Amuro Ray, Char Aznable, Lala Sun, and Chalia Bull. While both the Zeon and Federation were trying to harness new type abilities, they were still too rare to use en masse. This would change in After War Gundam X, one of the alternate universe series, but that will be touched on in due time. The Zeon had impressive numbers of mobile weapons, but the Gundam itself was also able to use several different configurations as the war went on. Next time, we look at the Gundam and its successor suits.